Hi everybody, and thank you for tuning in. I hope that this message, testimony, will inspire you. I got up this morning on a Saturday and I was a bit troubled. I was like, God, it seems like every time you try to talk to people about what they may be going through, they'll say, well, you just don't understand, and you don't know what I'm going through. And you know, a lot of times if people understood that they were not the only person going through that situation. And so it led me today, God told me it's time for you to tell your testimony. It's time for you to tell your story. It led me today to want to share with you. Perhaps you're going through something. Maybe you're dealing with a situation, you feel depressed about something and don't know how you're going to come out of it. I want to tell you my story, something that happened to me not long after I started working in radio. I was working for a gospel station, and I was approached about an opportunity to be the program director for another radio station. And I was like, I'm excited. Hey, I've been training. I think I got it. I think I can do it. And so I decided, okay, let's give it a try. Let's give it a go. And so I went in and I joined with the church and started working for their radio station. And it was 6 days. 6 days after I started that I was fired. 6 days. You know, most people say, well, what did you do? Well, I was in the process of getting a divorce, and the pastor of the church was angry because he said that I did not tell him before he hired me and signed a contract that I was going through a divorce. His words to me were, I cannot have anyone in leadership who is going through a situation. So before he fired me, he asked to meet with me and my wife. And we sat down with him, and I'm not going to get into that conversation, but he pretty much insisted that I get back with my wife or face the possibility of being fired. And I told him in that meeting that no, we were not going to get back together. And he talked about love and even questioned my sexuality. He wanted to know if I was really like into women. And the pastor. And he told us to go home, and he would call me the next day and let me know his decision. So he did call the next day, and he told me love is a choice, and you can choose to love whoever you want to, but I just believe that you don't want to love this woman. This woman is crazy. He went on and on and on about that. So in other words, he said to me, because you will not go home and work your marriage out, I'm going to have to let you go. So he fired me 6 days after he hired me, and I was totally devastated. I just resigned from my other job, which was a very stable job, and I was totally lost. I didn't know what to do. I was so angry, upset, felt betrayed, and I just didn't know what to do. And then I started getting sick. And I went to the doctor. I didn't have any insurance anymore because I resigned from my job that had the stability. And I went to a free clinic, and I told the doctor, I said, I don't know what's wrong with me, but I just can't seem to get up and get going again. I just feel like something's going on. He said, well, what's going on in your life? And I told him I was going through a divorce, that I had just been fired from my job, and I didn't know what I was going to do. So the doctor told me, he said, well, it sounds to me like you're depressed. He said, I'm going to prescribe this medication for you, and I think this will make you feel better. And so I said, okay. I took the medicine, and immediately after I took it, I started feeling like I was sinking deeper. And I didn't know what was going on with me. And I called the hospital, the clinic back and told them, I don't think this medicine is working. I said, I feel worse. I don't know what's going on. And so now I'll come back to that portion of the story, but I just wanted to give you a general synopsis of what happened. So let's go back to when I was first called into this job ministry to do this work. I had come in and man, I just can't tell you what it felt like to be loved and to be respected and to be given a golden opportunity to launch a radio station and, take it to a new level. I was really excited about it. And as I told you earlier, 6 days in, I got a call asking me if I was married. And I said, yes, I am. And I said, but I'm going through a divorce. And he asked the question, and as I told you, he wanted to meet with me and my wife, and we talked about it. But let me tell you what happened to me after he terminated me. Now remember, I'm in church. I have joined this church. I am a tithing member of this church. I have been celebrated as the new program director of this church in front of the entire congregation. People are patting me on the back and they're all coming up to me and they are telling me how glad they are that I'm here. And we know that this is going to happen and things are about to change. And they were just so excited. And everybody, I was excited too. And when he fired me, it's like he put a mark on my forehead or on my being, because I had to go to the church after he terminated me to get the final check. Now remember, I had a year contract that I'd signed, but he only paid me a certain percentage of it. I forgot, the $2,200 that he gave me. And so I went to church to pick up the check. And as I was walking down the hall, and as I told you, everyone knew who I was, and people were doing this. Or saying to me, man, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry this happened. I'm so sorry. And it was like I was a plague. That's how I felt. I felt like I was a plague in there. And so I got my check and I was like, this is not fair. I said, you signed a contract with me and you agreed and you promised to pay me. And now you're just giving me 20. These are just things that happened to me. So again, before I got to that depression part, I was going through the whole process of you fired me. People have turned their back on me. Nobody's speaking to me. And I'm just pretty much told to get to stepping. You are no longer welcomed here. So I sunk and I sunk and I sunk. And it was so hard for me to process it. I couldn't go back to my old job. I was about to unenrolled from the University of Memphis. I was about to quit my afternoon job at the TV station. All these things I was putting in place to do within 6 days of starting a new job at this station. So I went home. I didn't know what to do. And I hear people say all the time that you just don't understand. No, you don't understand that with God, all things are possible. I wanted to die. I felt like I had no reason to live anymore. My career had been taken from me. My name and all of that was just thrown in the garbage can. And I took medication trying to feel better. It didn't help me. You know what someone told me? They said, you took a pill for the body, but it was your spirit that was sore and hurt and hurting. And I just could not function. I was still in school and I was working at a television station in the afternoon. And in between the two, I would go home and sleep for an hour and a half, 2 hours, because I would finish classes and I would be so exhausted that I had to go home and go to sleep. And I believe that was the medication that was doing that to me. And I get up and I go to my job. And I remember talking to my supervisor on my job and I expressed to him what happened. And you tell people what you're going through. And he was very sympathetic toward me. And I think in that moment I needed to know that somebody cared about how much I was hurting. And I continued and tried to go on and I tried to go on. And I was sitting at home and I'm just like, God, I don't want to live anymore. I'm tired. I am devastated. And the devastation was that I let a man destroy my life. And I just could not seem to find my way back from this brink that I was on. And I remember a friend of mine called, she was an evangelist, and we've been friends since I got married. And I told her what happened, and we were going through that. And I told her the doctors had given me this medicine, hopefully that would help me, get my back, as they say. And she said, wait a minute, you said they gave you what? I said, they gave me an antidepressant pill, and it's not helping me. She said, baby, that's the devil. She said, no, you get up right now, take all those pills and go in the bathroom and put me on the speaker right now. And I went in the restroom and I'm crying. And she said, I want you to take every pill and I want you to plop it in the toilet right now. You drop every one of those pills. She said, God have not called you to no state of depression. This is not who you are. This is not the end of your life. And she just prayed over me and I cried and I was crying and I was just crying and I needed to release it because I just couldn't understand how this was happening to me. Not only just somebody who was having a job, but I was a minister in ministry. And this had happened to me. I couldn't figure it out. And then I went to God and I said, God, why did this happen to me? I didn't blame God and say he did it to me. I only asked God, why did it happen to me? And do you know what he said? Because I saw you worshiping him as though he were me. And you know what I said? That's the truth. It was. I was so caught up in the fact that everyone was celebrating me and rejoicing at my coming and being a part. I was so caught up into that I left God at the door. I had access to everything in this ministry. I was treated royally. But when he was done with me, everybody was done with me. And that was so hard to accept because I was looking for man. I was looking for people to make me feel like I was worthy of anything or validate me, when it was God the whole time who says, I know exactly the plans I have for you, but you keep looking for everybody else. So I'm just simply saying this to you. We all have a story. I haven't told this story in God knows how long. I remember when I told my mom and my father about this. My mother was so angry. She wanted to go to the church and address the pastor. And I said, no, don't do it. I'll get through this some kind of way. But can I tell you that God has blessed me? My life is tremendous. I am blessed. I've been back on radio. I have the things that I thought were over and canceled. God said, no, they're not. I just need you to realize who's God and who's not. So I say to you, if you're going through something and you feel by yourself, you're not alone. We're all going through something. But here's what I learned. God has never left me. I couldn't process the fact that my feelings were more involved than anything. I couldn't process the fact that I was embarrassed, I was hurt, I felt betrayed, all of those things. And I just did not know that in the midst of all that stuff I was going through, I left God all out of it. God is the answer. He is the one that keeps us. He is the one that loves us unconditionally. He does not play with our lives. And I pray for that minister that did that to me. I really did. And it took me a long time because I saw him in public and I would cringe. I would do that. And it was hard, but I had to ask God to help me in the forgiving phase. He never knew that I tried to kill myself. He never knew that I was on antidepressants. He didn't know any of that because at that point I was out of it. And I never wanted to address him, but if he sees it, fine. If he doesn't, fine. But I want you to know that I'm here. I'm here. I'm alive. I'm well, I'm blessed, and God is my Father. He loves me unconditionally. And I'm telling you, you are here, you are well, and you are going to come through this. I just pray I help somebody. That's all I want to do. I'm not here to do anything but share a word of encouragement with you. And I pray that your life, you will value it, you will love your life, and you'll love God, because God is the one that will keep you through everything that you are going to go through, have been through. God is the constant. You're not alone. And I thank God for you. Get up, get up, get up. Get back to life. This is not it for you. I love you.